Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
I'm Carol Messer, along with Tim Stanovec. Let's get to some of the stocks on the move on this Monday. Bloomberg News earnings reporter Red Brown in the house. Cruise lines, Norwegian. What's up with that?
Yeah, Cruise Line's Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings was one of those stocks that really reacted quite sharply to a lot of the news over the last 48 hours. That ticker is NCLH. They were down as much as 7.6% today before recovering like much of the market. And that
big swing, right?
It was, from quite a big swing. And these stocks have been moving around as news filters in from the Middle East. And much of this is kind of coming down to just a negative feeling towards where oil prices are going to be. Norwegian does hedge some of those prices. Other cruise lines do as well. But we'll see. Actually, we'll get a good reading on kind of what the demand impact of this whole situation will be tomorrow when Carnival reports in the morning. And that will give us a really nice read through into Norwegian and what their customers are feeling, what they're hearing from some of their partners, things like that. There is a feeling that Norwegian might be the most exposed to any kind of downturn within demand. Just they're the most premium within the three big names in ocean cruising. So yeah, we'll get a lot more information tomorrow, hopefully.
Was there an actual downgrade this morning?
There was also an analyst downgrade as well, which I think is also not helping Norwegian. I think it was a downgrade from buy to a hold, just kind of feeling like, best price, but the company is down, I think around 29% this year. So not having the best year in general, but that's after triple digit gains over the last 2 or 3. So.
Big reveal. Is it Constellation Energy
I was going to say something about Norwegian.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
There's a preemptive drum roll, Carol.
So what are you going to say?
Did part of today's activity have to do with concern about just people traveling? Because we did see airline stocks move lower and they moved higher later when oil prices went down, and also when it seemed like that was an isolated incident on that American base in Qatar.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, I think we always see this move whenever there is a little bit of geopolitical risk in general. These companies are all out of that region. They moved out after 2023, October 7th. But I think still, if you're a consumer and you're thinking about your discretionary budget, and if there's a potential for a wider conflict, I think that does raise a lot of questions. One thing the cruises do have to their benefit that the airlines might not have is people book really far in advance. But again, if you're feeling uncertain and unsafe about traveling, maybe you second guess whether or not you actually go through with that trip. Maybe you spend a little less on board, things like that. So
yeah, we have had the U.S., I think, and other countries also, but the U.S. urging travelers to be careful, like when overseas. So we have seen some cautionary words from the U.S. All right, can I do the drum roll, please?
Please.
Okay, is it Constellation Energy or Constellation Brands? Ticker, please.
It is CEG, Constellation Energy. So I think someone owes somebody $5. But shares.
Pay up, Stanovec.
Wait, no, you pay to me.
I know.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Red.
Sorry. Shares are up around, we're up around 3.4% today. This is a utility company. They have 3 nuclear energy plants in New York State. So shares are moving off of news that the governor here, Kathy Hochul, is exploring another plant within the state. It's pretty interesting to me. This is a utility company and kind of synonymous with boring, just regular paying dividends. But this stock's up 40% this year off of a lot of good news around nuclear power. Kind of at the center of this like refurbished image that nuclear is getting, following Meta also announcing that they'll be doing a big deal with Constellation.
Yeah, they're all the big hyperscalers are lining up with these utilities. That stock almost doubled last year. It was up like 91%.
Yeah.
I mean, it has just been on a tear, and it really is that AI play right in the power demands.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah. It's tech and now politicians all kind of getting behind nuclear power after years of not.
Yeah. I mean, we had Indian Point here, just outside of New York City. You go up the Hudson. For years, that was an operating nuclear power plant. No longer. There was a lot of pushback.
Yep.
In the 2000s, in the 90s, to nuclear power. And I think a lot of people would say it was I don't want to say unwarranted, but I want to say maybe it was maybe there are those now who say those should have been kept open.
Wasn't it the Indian power plant? My husband and I were talking about this weekend. Wasn't it used to water would come down to like power, like hydro, and then it was used to kind of push the water back up. I got to check. I got to Google. So don't quote me on that. Don't get me in trouble. Okay, where do you want to go?
You and your husband have very intellectual conversations over the weekend.
We kind of are.
Yeah, that's nice.
You can say so yourself, Carol. All right, go ahead, Red Brown.
Yeah, well, something that maybe a little less intellectual would be cosmetics.
Don't mess with makeup. Don't mess with it,
I knew
Red
what I was
Brown.
doing there.
All right, what do you got?
We have Estee Lauder. That ticker is just EL. Shares finished up around 5% today, and that was off of the Deutsche Bank analysts upgrading their rating for the stock. And that's actually maybe a little bit counterintuitive. The reasoning behind the upgrade was because of the company's efforts to diversify away from China, which for so long has been so important for these discretionary companies. As you know, the middle class in China has grown, discretionary budgets have grown alongside that. But now, just kind of, I think the overexposure within that, the pendulum maybe has swung too far. So Estee Lauder is really making an effort to kind of, make sure they're well exposed to all of Asia, well exposed to Europe still, things like that. And yeah, it's all systems go, I guess, for Estee Lauder.
Some big moves today.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.